I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am.
A delightful good noon to all the dignitaries, academicians, and students. I, Anju Pandya, Assistant Professor, welcomes you all on behalf of Vishisht School of Management. For a leader and a manager to be successful, he or she needs to be multi-skilled. IQ alone will not help a leader to succeed in workplace. There are several studies and research which says how crucial social intelligence is for leaders. And we all know COVID-19, this pandemic situation giving us so many challenges to face at workplace. So today's topic for Vishisht Talk is developing social intelligence for workplace success. So I welcome our guest, Dr. Harvinder Soni, founder, director, SkillWiz Corporate Solution, Udaipur. Our managing director, Dr. Naveen Narang, our director, Dr. SM Anas Iqbal. I welcome you all once again. Dr. Harvinder Soni is a renowned trainer and management expert. She is also a certified trainer in transactional analysis. Dr. Soni has a rich and varied experience and expertise in area of human resource management, training and development, performance management, emotional intelligence, leadership skills, change management, soft skill management, personality development, transactional analysis, behavioral training, and many more allied areas. She has conducted a number of management development programs and workshops for manager, faculty, corporate professional for grooming their professional skills. She has a professional experience of more than 23 years in Udaipur. Dr. Harvinder Soni has authored 2 books. The first, Performance Management, and second, Staff Turnover Intention of Employees in Chain and Non-Chain Hotels of Udaipur District. Her research paper has been published in several national and international journals, and she has presented paper in many national and international conferences. 5 research scholars have been awarded PhD under her supervision. It's our pleasure to welcome her, and it's our pleasure to hear words from her. So I request Dr. SM Anas Iqbal, Director, Vishisht School of Management, for welcome address. Please, sir.
Thank you, Anju. And a very good afternoon, everyone, in this pleasant weather, especially in Indore, at this webinar. I warmly welcome Professor Dr. Harvinder Soni ma'am, our Managing Director, Dr. Naveen Narang, and all the participants who are connected from different parts of this country for this webinar and on a very important issue, that is developing social intelligence for workplace success. Because this is very important topic for everyone in person and for the organization itself. Because I always believe that the happy and fearless employees produce a greater result for it, and that reflect in their productivity itself. Because जब उनको एक इंडिपेंडेंसी, एक हैप्पी हेल्दी एनवायरनमेंट वर्किंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मिलता है, तो जाहिर सी बात एक हमेशा ये चीज़ होती है कि उनके प्रोडक्टिविटी में 2 चीज़ें आगे बढ़ जाती हैं. और यही आज की ज़रूरत भी एक है कि हमको सोशल इंटेलिजेंस किस तरह से हम इसको और डेवलप करें, बिकॉज कि दे फील दैट देयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज ओन. तो ये जब फीलिंग आ जाती है, जब उनके अंदर कोई इस तरह की कोई फेयरनेस नहीं रहती है, तो डेफिनेटली दे put up their 100% efforts for the development and growth of the organizations, and that definitely reflect from their productivity and the result. I humbly and warmly welcome Soni ma'am, because she is so sober, so humble, always extended their services, her services. Firstly, she met me in a PhD viva at Udaipur, और तभी से हम मैडम से कहीं ना कहीं किसी ना किसी तरीके से कांटेक्ट में हैं और चले आ रहे हैं. और जब भी मुझे ज़रूरत हुई फॉर दिस आवर कॉन्फ्रेंस, मैम की सर्विसेज हमेशा हर तरीके से अवेलेबल रही. थैंक यू सो मच मैम फॉर योर काइंड कंसर्न फॉर टू डिलीवर दिस लेक्चर. नाउ ओवर टू अंजू.
I request our chief guest to share her valuable words with us. Please, ma'am.
A very good
मैम मैंने आपकी मैम आपका पीपीटी वाला पार्ट ओपन कर दिया है.
Right. Is my PPT visible?
Yes ma'am. Yes, just a ma'am. Yes ma'am.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all, and thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and for the warm welcome. It's a privilege for me to be here with Vishisht School of Management and all the participants to this webinar on developing social intelligence for workplace success. Now, initially, when we used to talk about workplace success, the focus was maybe on the remuneration, the increments which we get, the kind of work environment in which we are working, that is the working conditions. But now the focus is shifting to the social relations at workplace because they have an important role to play in our work success.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
You cannot hear me? Just a minute.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
Okay, just a minute.
Ma'am, but you're audible.
You are audible, ma'am.
I'm audible.
You can hear you very well.
Ma'am.
There's no
Yes,
problem.
yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, somebody said they couldn't hear me, so.
Might be
Okay.
some net.
Okay, so should we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we were talking about social intelligence for workplace success, which is so essential if we want that employee commitment should increase, if we want that employee productivity should increase, then definitely the relationships at workplace, they are to be considered as very important in contemporary times.
सर आवाज नहीं आ रही सर.
Just a second, ma'am. नयन सर, आपको आवाज नहीं आ रही है. आप प्लीज रिकनेक्ट होइए अपनी ऑडियो से और प्लीज बीच में आप चैट बॉक्स में बोलिए, आपको सब सॉल्यूशन मिल जाएगा सर. कंटिन्यू मैम.
Okay, so talking about workplace success, as I said, there are a number of factors which determine our success at the workplace. It may be the salaries and the wages, it may be the working conditions, and in today's world, social relations have become very important at the workplace because at the workplace, we interact with a number of people. We interact with our superiors, we interact with our subordinates, we interact with our peers. At the same time, when we are into any kind of business, we have to deal with others. And whether we want to build relationships with our clients, whether we want to build relationships with the customers, the suppliers, or any other third party, the success of any business, it depends upon how we get along with others and how we influence their actions. So now this is very important. If we really want to have a competitive edge in the market, in whatever business we are, in whatever field we are, we need to possess social intelligence. That means we should have the ability of interacting with people in a healthy manner, getting along with people and also influencing their actions. And when we talk about workplace success, it has been said that great relationships ensure your workplace success. Now, talking about this, let me quote the experiments which were conducted in 1927 by Elton Mayo at Hawthorne plant. And in the Western Electric Company at Chicago, certain experiments were conducted to find out that what are the factors which determine the productivity of the employees at work. And in those studies, it came out that the interpersonal relations, the interactions, the informal relations at workplace, they have an important impact upon the productivity of the employees. So certain experiments were conducted. I'm talking about way back in 1927 when the experiments were conducted by Elton Mayo. And it was found that for improving workplace productivity, only incentives, only the working conditions are not sufficient. What more is required is the kind of interaction which is there between the superior and the subordinates, between the peers, and the kind of informal environment, and for that matter, formal environment also, in which the employees are working. So that means the studies and the experiments had started in this respect way back in 1927. Now, talking about social intelligence, what exactly is social intelligence? Again, in 1920, Edward Thorndike, he said that the ability to understand and manage men and women and boys and girls to act wisely in human relations refers as social intelligence, or it is known as kind of informal relationship.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है आवाज.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am.
सर आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर.
सर आप प्लीज रिजॉइन करिए.
Sir, please, 100 people are listening. It might be some problem at your place, might be in internet or the earphone, whatever the possible. So please आप उसको जो है फिर से log in कर लीजिए. Please don't interrupt in between. If you have any kind of problem, please chat box में अपनी problem को आप mention कर दिए.
Sir, I've discussed that in chat box.
Yeah, ma'am. Please continue. I'm sorry.
That's absolutely fine, sir. So what exactly is social intelligence? As we were discussing, it is the ability to understand men and women and boys and girls to act wisely in human relations. That means how we can maintain human relations, how we can develop networks, and how we can interact in a positive manner with the people at workplace. And if we are aware of all these things, definitely the workplace success is going to be attained. Now, why does social intelligence matter at workplace? So talking about social intelligence, we may think that it is just about, getting along with people. But social intelligence is much more than that. In today's world, what is required? Networking abilities are required. If we want to be successful in any profession, we need to build up our networks. We need to develop good relations. IQ is definitely important, but now the research studies have shown that emotional intelligence and social intelligence are two very important things which are really necessary for achieving success at the workplace. Now, when we talk of social intelligence, as far as the workplace is concerned, we need to develop good relations at workplace. Now we are entering our office or our institution or our organization every day. So it is but natural that we want to enter into an environment which is very congenial, which gives us positive vibrations, where there are healthy workplace relations, where we can share certain things, and where the stress level is low. So that means we need to strike a balance between personal relations and professional bonding. I mean, having social intelligence does not mean that we go out of our way and share personal things at the workplace. A balance has to be maintained between the personal relationships and the professional bonding at the workplace. And creating that balance, how effectively we can manage our workplace relations, because it has a lot of impact upon the working environment, and there are good social relations at workplace. Commitment and the productivity of the employees can be definitely enhanced. As again, I would refer back to the Hawthorne studies. It was already experimented in 1927, and it was proved by those experiments conducted by Elton Mayo that social relations have a huge impact on the productivity of the employees. It results in lesser conflicts. Now, in today's world, most of the work is done through teams, committees, whether it is an academic institution or we are talking about any corporate organization. Work is done through committees and teams, and there may be self-managed teams, there may be project teams, there may be cross-functional teams, there may be virtual teams in today's world. Now, if people who work in a team are high on social intelligence, they would be able to work in a better manner. They would be able to coordinate with each other. They would be able to understand each other, accept the difference of opinion from each other, and with their diverse and varied skill sets, they can pool in their combined knowledge for the benefit of the organization. So another big advantage is lesser conflicts at the workplace and less workplace stress. Now, this is very important because occupational stress is something which is a cause of concern in today's world. And according to WHO, in India, from 2012 to 2030s, it is expected that trillions of dollars will be lost because of mental problems of the employees in organizations. So that means the situation is very grave. And this is not true only about India. In countries like USA, in countries like UK, the stress-related problems are there. And this has increased after this COVID-19, self-isolation, work from home, and social distancing. So as PM Modi has said, that social distancing should not lead to emotional distancing. So we can still be socially intelligent in spite of maintaining social distancing. Because if we really want to work in a happy environment, then we need to build up good relations at workplace, and lesser stress, lesser anxiety, and lesser depression of the employees at the workplace is definitely going to have a positive impact, not only upon the employee performance, but organizational performance. So that is why it is very important that we deal in a very, very tactful manner, and we use our intelligence when we are actually transacting with people socially. So when we talk about social intelligence, in simple layman terms, it is our ability to act, speak, and listen to others with intelligence and tact without any preconceived notions or judgments. Now, what happens is that when we interact with a person, then already we build up some kind of preconceived notions in our mind, or we already have some kind of prejudices in our mind, or we also try to judge the other person when we are speaking to that person. So if we really want to be socially intelligent, then we need to interact with others, speak to others, and listen to others without being judgmental and without having any biases and prejudices in our mind. So it is the ability to act, speak, and listen. All the three things are very important. When you're talking of social intelligence, we are not merely talking of speaking to people in that manner. We are also equally concerned about our listening abilities, that how we have to listen to others so that the other person feels comfortable and is able to share his ideas and opinions in an open kind of environment, which leads to better productivity in the organization. So it is also collected wisdom that one learns over a period of time through life experiences and can be developed through training. So of course, life teaches us a number of things. As we experience life, we also experience a lot of struggles. We also experience a lot of good relations and also broken relationships. So all those experiences of life, where we have been successful, where we have failed, those experiences teach us a number of things about how we should deal with people in future. And social intelligence is something which can also be developed through training. Now, as I said, social intelligence is the ability to successfully build relationships and navigate social environments. As I said, relationship building is so important in today's world. Whether you want to build good relationships with your superiors or with your subordinates or with your peers or with clients or customers, if you have the ability to deal with them, then you can be successful in your profession. You can be successful at the workplace. In fact, our social brain, it has spindle cells, and the number of spindle cells in human brain is much more than in any other species. Now, these spindle cells, they guide our social decisions. When we respond to people, when we make certain social decisions, how should we interact with people whom we want to interact, then our spindle cells, they help us or enable us or guide us to interact with people. And at the same time, we have some mirror neurons in our brains, and these neurons, they help us to predict the behavior of the people with whom we are interacting. So the presence of these cells makes our social brain active, and whereby we interact with people. And otherwise also it is said that man is what? A social animal, and we have that inherent need to interact with people. But then how do we interact in the right manner? How can we interact intelligently? So let's see that how we can develop social intelligence. So we have to be aware of the proto-conversation. Now, what we are talking about, in fact, Daniel Goleman has written this book on social intelligence, and where he says that it is a new revolutionary science in the field of human relationship. So he says that the name of his book is Beyond IQ, Beyond EQ, Social Intelligence, the new revolutionary science of human relationships. So coming back to the proto-conversation, now the proto-conversation is something beyond merely speaking. When we are speaking or when we are listening, then there are other things also which matter and which send a lot of signals to the listeners, or we also receive signals when we are the receivers of information. It may be in terms of gestures, it may be in terms of voice intonations, it may be in form of facial expressions, it may be in form of body language. So we need to be also careful about the proto-conversation when we are interacting with people, because our interaction is not merely through our words, it is also through our gestures, it is through our facial expressions, it is through our body language. So there are two dimensions to this. One is social awareness, that is how we respond to people, and then is the social facility, that means how we should influence other people when we are interacting with them. So talking about social awareness, now actually when we respond to others, then it is important that we are empathetic. Now empathy is a very important word, and empathy is different from sympathy. Now empathy means looking at things from the other person's point of view, putting yourself in the shoes of the other person. So when we are interacting with people, we should observe empathy. That means we should try to understand the feelings of the other person and why is he speaking certain things. So if we get into the shoes of the other person, then we can give him the right kind of response. Why the other person is saying certain things, why is he behaving in such a manner? So that empathy is the key for social intelligence. If we develop that, in that case, we can be successful in our social interactions. And then, as I said, listening with full receptivity. So, when we listen to people, in that case, sometimes we get distracted, our concentration is lost, and at other times, we are so much interested in speaking that we hardly pay attention to what the other person wants to convey. Now, that does not complete the social transaction, that does not solve the purpose of any kind of communication. So those listening skills are also very important if we really want to be socially intelligent, and understanding the thoughts and intentions of the other people. So it is not just the words which are important when we are listening or when we are speaking. We should also focus upon the thoughts and the intentions of the other person, which is known as empathic accuracy. And also we need to possess social cognition, that is the understanding of the social world and working of a web of relationships. That means how do the networks, how do the relationships work? What are the things which can have a negative impact upon relationships, which can spoil the relationships, and which are the things which can increase the positive vibrations in the relationships, which can create healthy relationships. So when we are talking of social awareness, we are talking about these aspects which we need to take care of when we are responding to others or when we are listening to others. Then another dimension which I said is social facility. That means knowing how to have smooth and effective transactions. Now, interacting smoothly, that means without much conflicts, without many arguments, and without flaws. We need to develop that synchrony whereby we can interact smoothly, and also we should be aware that how we should present ourselves in such a way so that we can influence other people. I mean, when we are at a workplace, when we are in our business dealings, we need to have the ability, if we really want to be successful, we need to have the ability to influence others. And we also say that what is leadership? It is the ability to influence others to work willingly towards the attainment of organizational goals. So that whether you're a leader or not, I mean, leadership is totally another issue, which I will not focus upon in this particular webinar, but leadership is not particularly tied to posts or designations. You can be a leader wherever you are, and still you can influence people. So whether you are, even if you are in academics, you would have to observe social facility, because you have to influence the students, you have to deal with your heads, you have to deal with a number of peers. So that influencing capacity is a must for if you really want to shape the outcome of social interactions. So how much you're able to persuade others, how much you're able to convince others, that ability is a must. And again, that ability does not mean that you do not have to share concern for others. It is equally important to be caring about others' needs. So as I said, empathy is the key word. When we are trying to have smooth and interactive interactions, and also we are trying to influence and convince others, if we have concern about others' needs, we will be in a better position to have a successful social interaction. Now, we should be aware of our social triggers. Now, when we interact with people, for that matter, whenever we take decisions also, there are two aspects. One is the emotional aspect, and the other is the logical thinking. So whether we have to think through our heart or we have to exercise and use our brain. So sometimes there is a conflict between what our heart says and what our mind says. So the low road is, there are two terms for this. One is the low road and the other is the high road. So low road is our instinctual, emotion-based way we process interactions. So when we are interacting with people, one is the emotional part, and when another part, when we are interacting with people, is the logical and critical thinking part. So when we are interacting, we need to take care of both the things, and we need to strike a balance. For example, as a child, maybe you had invited certain friends to your birthday party, but very few of your friends turned up. Now you have grown up as an adult, but you cannot, forget that experience. And now when you want to celebrate your birthday, you have that kind of fear or anxiety that if I call people, will they turn up or not? Because your past experience has been such that when you organized a party for your friends, very few of them turned up. So your low road will make you suffer from anxiety and stress when you really want to organize this kind of party, and you will be in doldrums. But at the same time, if you exercise your high road and you can tell yourself that now times have changed, things have changed, you have grown up and you have a better circle, you have close relationships, and you can organize a party, and there's no need to be afraid of the past experience. So in other words, we should know how to manage our social triggers, which may be into two parts, the low road and the high road. Now, knowing your low road social triggers help to identify the high road function. For example, what kind of social interactions do you dread? Means what kind of interactions you want to avoid in your daily lives. You can identify the social trigger. Are you afraid of interacting with the top authority, or in the family? Is there somebody whom you avoid interacting with, or you are afraid to interact with? You have to identify. Then who do you feel anxious hanging out with? When you're uncomfortable in hanging out with certain people, so who are those people? And when do you feel you can't be yourself? At times when we are interacting with people, at times there are moments or there are people where we cannot be our original self. We have to put up, an artificial self in front of other people. So we need to be aware of our social triggers and do a kind of self-analysis and try to get rid of those fears by developing social intelligence. That means once we identify the low road social triggers, then we can focus upon the high road function and we can go ahead with a successful social interaction. Now, we need to establish our secure base. So everybody needs a space, a secure base, a place where a person would like to recharge himself before interaction so that there is no burnout in a interaction. And at the same time, you also need to learn from social encounter. That means if you have had a meeting with somebody, then what went well in the meeting, what went wrong in the meeting, what are the things you need to take care in future if you want a successful outcome out of that meeting. Maybe a meeting with your manager, maybe a meeting with your subordinate. So when you have interacted with anyone, try to just think about it. Try to go back to that social encounter and find out, right? Some questions may be asked. This is actually called by Daniel Goleman as post-mortem. So we have to conduct a post-mortem of our social encounter, and in terms of what went well, what went wrong, what would I have done differently, and what did I learn from this interaction? Suppose your meeting with your boss has not been very good and you come out with a lot of bad taste in your mouth, then you need to think that what went wrong in the meeting and plan accordingly that how I should deal with my boss so that the outcome is better and we can really focus upon some good points rather than focusing upon irrelevant things or going for arguments. How we can make it a productive conversation, how we could interact in a different manner so that the desirable outcome of the meeting could have been achieved. So you have to analyze, and you can analyze, I mean, anytime you want. Maybe when you're driving home in your car, you can analyze. Maybe when just before going to bed, you can keep a journal of the social transactions or the interactions which you made throughout the day and what were the learnings, where were the areas where you felt that you could have interacted in a better manner, or where was the success, where was the failure, and then try to analyze it. So you can keep a journal for yourself. So some kind of exercises and this kind of self-analysis goes a long way in developing social intelligence. Then broken bonds. Now, why do relationships break? Sometimes the bonds break. So it is because of, again, lack of empathy. Lack of empathy because we do not understand, or we do not even try to understand the viewpoint of the other people. So here, if you really want to develop social intelligence, just don't interact because you feel you should. I mean, it should not be an obligation. Interacting with people should make you feel happy. It should come from within. That feeling should come from within, and you should interact with everyone with empathy. I mean, it's better that we don't interact. If we are interacting without empathy, it is never going to result into a desirable outcome. So that is why I said that either you interact with empathy or you don't interact at all. So interact with people with your heart and with your feelings, and look at the things from the other person's perspective. That will help to create better relationships, not only at the personal level, but also at the professional level. Then positively infectious, emotions are infectious. If, you meet a friend who is smiling, then in that case, that smile spreads and you also smile back. When you see maybe somebody with a sad mood or tear rolling down his eyes, you also get into that kind of mood. So try to think about people whose mood you want to catch upon. Which kind of moods do you want for yourself? So accordingly, you have to, you yourself have to take care that when you're interacting with people, you have a smile on your face. You should have the other person, when he's interacting with you, should get a positive vibration by interacting with you. And if you your expressions, even if you don't say certain things, the facial expressions, the gestures may make you, you know, unreachable. The person would like to say something, but seeing your body language or gestures, your facial expressions, may stop himself from saying that. So it's not just the words, it's a number of things. So you have to be positively infectious and create a kind of positive environment at the workplace also. Then adopt to adapt. Now, according to Goldman, many parts of the low road run through mirror neurons. So I told you about mirror neurons. That means they also help us in determining that how we can predict the behavior of the other person. Now, the problem is that we are so self-absorbed. We are so much into focusing upon what we want to say that we hardly pay attention to what the other person wants to convey. So, you can see the neurons activate in a person based on something that is experienced by another person in the same way as is done or is experienced by the person himself. Whether pain is anticipated or seen in another, the same neuron is activated. So, for example, now if you're interacting with somebody who is getting angry, and maybe with your partner, maybe with your spouse, and your partner or your spouse gets very angry, and then you tell yourself, no, let me maintain my calm. So you try to maintain your calm, and then not only when you maintain your calm, you also try to calm that other person. This irritates the spouse or the partner more. Now, because he's into that kind of feeling or emotion whereby he's getting angry and he's reacting sharply at some particular incident, but you are trying to calm him, and when you project a calm image, then he gets more irritated. So sometimes we don't have to fight it out. That means we have to still adopt and accept the emotions of the other person when we are interacting with others. We have to accept certain things, and we have to carry on in the same manner as the other person wants us to carry on. So again, this is one important thing which we need to focus upon, that at times, don't fight the emotions, accept certain things and behave in that manner. So this is again emotional intelligence. That means the situations, I mean, one has to be mature enough to have actions, different kind of emotional support. So according to that, we have to adapt our own emotions and our dealings in interacting with people. Now, when we talk about, again, social intelligence, then we have to beware of the triads. So when we are interacting with people, then we again may be caught in some kind of problems because of the personalities with whom we are interacting. So there can be the narcissistic personality. So when the narcissistic personality is there, then these people, they have an inflated view of themselves, a huge ego and a sense of entitlement. So we have to be aware of these people because they are very egoistic, and at the same time, they want all the credit to themselves and they want all the entitlement to themselves. So we have to be very careful when we are dealing with narcissistic personalities. Then we may meet people who have Machiavellian personality. That means these people, they have this tendency of manipulating and constantly exploiting the people around them. So again, we have to be intelligent enough to identify the kind of personality with whom we are dealing. And then the psychopath personality may be there. That is, it is someone who is impulsive, remorseless, and extremely selfish. So we come across various kinds of people in our daily lives, whether it is the workplace, whether it's our personal life. So we need to be aware. We should be intelligent enough to identify the kind of personality with whom we are dealing, and accordingly we should frame our reactions. Then mind blind. That means if we ask ourselves, are we capable of understanding the other people? Can we predict how the other person with whom we are interacting is going to behave? How is our intuition? If our answer is yes to these questions, then we possess mind sight. And if our answer is no to these questions, then we are more of mind blind. So it basically means that how aware we are about how the other person is going to react, how the other person is going to respond, and how our intuition tells us about these things. So as I said, sometimes we are so self-absorbed that it kills empathy and let alone compassion. We are focusing upon our own world, and the result is that the world contracts and our problems, even though they are small, they become so huge for us. So when we focus upon others, our world expands. If we are only focused upon our own self, the work contracts and even small problems appear to be very big for us. So when we are socially interacting with people, we need to be aware. That means we have to develop mind sight, and we should not be mind blind, and that is going to result into successful relationships, personal and professional both. Then a people prescription. That means it has been proved by research that people who have good relationships at the workplace and in the personal front, who have good networks, who have good social or religious groups where they go, where they join, where they can spend time together. At the workplace, we are all so much into the work that we forget about, interacting in the healthy manner, because we do not consider it important. We are only focused on the technical aspects. But research has shown that people who have good networks, who have good social relationships, are able to, they live longer, and even if they suffer from some disease, they are able to come back and recover from that disease in a faster manner. So this is very important, building up good networks and relationships, having people with whom we can share certain things. The recent suicide by the film actor Sushant Rajput has raised a number of questions. And of course, that is a controversy which is still being taken care of by the respective authorities. But one thing which is attributed is that he could not share his problems with people. And had he shared his problems, maybe this kind of, I have no words to use. This kind of suicide and these kind of tendencies, they arise because of fewer social interactions, because we do not have people with whom we can interact. So that people prescription should occupy an important part, and we should really be focused upon developing good networks. Now, at workplaces also, if we look at the work culture of Zappos, which is an online footwear and apparel store, it focuses upon building social intelligence at workplace. It has a kind of family culture, and these are some of the values which Zappos, it promotes in the organization. If we have a look at them, for example, deliver wow through service, embrace and drive change, create fun and little weirdness, be adventurous, creative and open-minded, pursue growth and learning, build open and honest relationships with communication, build positive team and family spirit, do more with less, be and be humble. So what are these focusing upon? You can see that so many of them are focusing upon what? Social intelligence. Whether we talk about delivering wow through service, the message again is to create a positive feeling through service. Whether we look at embracing change, accepting change, that also requires social intelligence. Whether we are talking about a fun place at the workplace, Then also we are talking of social intelligence, whether we are talking about building honest relationships at workplace, whether we are talking of building positive team and family spirit, whether we are talking of humility, we are talking about building social intelligence at the workplace. And organizations in today's world, they are focusing upon building up good interpersonal relationships at the workplace, and they want to promote it as their core values and a pivotal part of their corporate culture. So how to be socially intelligent towards our colleagues at workplace? How should we interact with people at our workplace? How can we socially intelligent towards our colleagues at workplace? So one thing which we should keep in mind is avoid being biased and prejudiced. As I said, when we interact with people, sometimes we have some preconceived notions. We have created some impressions about certain people, and when we start any conversation, those prejudices and those biases are reflected in our conversations. So we need to avoid being biased and prejudiced. That is the first and foremost thing. We need to stop being judgmental when we are interacting with people. So that is important thing when we are dealing with our colleagues. And don't judge colleagues based on your beliefs and preferences. Now, every individual has his own mindset, has his own individuality, has his own way of thinking, has its own perception, has his own value system, has his own belief system. So always judging others is not good. When we are transacting, when we are interacting with people, then we should avoid, we have our own set of beliefs, respect that, but the other person who has his own thoughts, who has his own ideas, we need to equally respect them. Everybody is different from the others. So if we respect that individual difference, and here we can also refer to the transactional analysis, which is very important. There are certain life positions at which people are. Like some people are at the life position that I am okay, you are not okay. So when we have that kind of life position that I am okay, you are not okay, then we always tend to consider ourselves to be absolutely right, and we feel that what the other person is saying is totally wrong. So I am perfect, I am okay, you are not okay. Then there is another life position which says I am not okay, you are okay. So this is also not good. I mean, you need to respect yourself. You need to respect your opinions. So, and people with these kind of, life positions where they say that I am not okay, you are not, you are okay. That shows a kind of inferiority complex in themselves, which again should not be there. You need to consider yourself. You need to have confidence in your own abilities. And for developing confidence, you have to work. Without knowledge, without skills, you cannot develop confidence. So you have to work upon your knowledge and skills, build up that confidence, and avoid that kind of life position that I am not okay and you are okay. And there is another life position which says that I'm not okay, you are not okay. Now, this is the worst condition. And when the people develop these kind of life positions, they go more into depression. And there's a possibility, like people who commit suicide, they have this kind of life position that I'm not okay, you are not okay. For them, nothing is right in the world. Neither they are happy with themselves, nor they are happy with the people around them, nor they are happy with their the situation. So they have the tendency to commit suicide. And then the ideal life position, which I'm talking about, is I am okay, you are okay. I am an individual and these are my thoughts and my opinions, and I respect your opinions as well because you have your own qualities. So difference of opinion should not create difference in relationships. Okay, I hope that it is clear that we can have difference of opinion, but that should not create a rift in our relationship. So that is social intelligence again. Then apply design thinking in your day-to-day life. That means design thinking is where we follow some kind of model when we are leading our lives, or we are dealing with certain problems, or we are trying to come out of certain crisis situations, or we are handling our relationships. So we have to adopt kind of design thinking. That means we need to first of all empathize, then define, we have to understand the problem. Secondly, we have to define the problem. Then we have to ideate. That means we have to develop an idea to solve that problem. Then we have to develop the prototypes, maybe a kind of primary model to deal with that problem. And then we have to test it and then apply it. So we can apply design thinking in our day-to-day life if we want to be successful at our workplace. And then, as I already said, develop empathy. Look at things, start looking at things from the other person's point of view. Try to understand the emotions of other people, and that will put you in a better position. And this is a very important skill which a leader also needs to possess. So whether you're working as a manager, whether you are working as a faculty, whether you are working as any kind of person who possesses authority, or even when you don't possess authority, you still have the ability to influence people. So that ability will come only when you develop empathy. Then take criticisms constructively. Now, what happens is when we go to our workplace, if somebody criticizes us, we take it in a very offensive manner. So, and at times we also become defensive if somebody criticizes us. So when we enter our workplace, we have to keep our egos, our jealousies, and these kind of negative vibrations aside. So maybe if our boss says something, or maybe we have not performed well, there has been a performance gap, we have not come up to the expectations, then we should try to take the criticism in a positive manner and improve from that criticism, rather than taking it in an offensive manner, or becoming defensive and trying to justify our lack of performance. So that is very important, and that equally plays an important part in our social intelligence. So then, as I said, improving the listening skills is very important. When we listen to others, then we should try to project into the mind of the other people. Not that physically we are here and mentally we are somewhere else, or we are too much absorbed in our own thoughts that we hardly pay attention to the other person. That does not actually help in developing good relations. If we really want to develop good relations, we have to focus upon the person with whom we are interacting. As I said, we have a tendency that we want to speak, but we don't want to hear to what the other person has to say. So we have to, if we really want that others should share their ideas and opinions, and we really want to develop good and healthy relationships at workplace, we need to improve our listening skills. Then stick to your commitment once it is made. So again, this is very important at the workplace, that if some task has been assigned to us, if we have made a commitment, then we stick to it. This develops what? Trust. We become dependable. People can rely on us, and this again helps in creating good relations at workplace. So we have to be authentic. We should develop that kind of trust in the relationship, and this can happen when we can stick to our commitment once we have made. It's not that today we are saying something else and tomorrow we forget about it, or we take that same thing very casually, or we come up with excuses for non-performance, or for not accomplishing a particular goal. So stick to the commitment. That is going to create a good impression and also build up good relations at the workplace. Then very important, always carry your smile wherever you go. See, everybody has some or the other personal struggles. Everybody has some personal problems, but we should not carry that to the professional place. We should try to, I know it is difficult. It is difficult because it does affect our working, but then there lies the success. If you are able to manage your, personal life, and you are able to manage your emotions in such a manner that your personal struggles do not have an impact upon your workplace, there lies your success, there lies your intelligence. So always see, and when you smile, you will feel that the problem is not very big. So try to smile wherever you go, in spite of problems. If you try to smile, you will feel that your problem has suddenly become small. So it is through practicing. It sends positive vibrations to others also, and you will feel lighter yourself, and you will create good relations, with the result that you will become more competent to deal with the personal problem which has been troubling you. then come out of your comfort zone. Now, this is also very important, coming out of the comfort zone, because, what happens is that sometimes maybe the past disagreements, here I'm talking more in terms of relationships. So maybe in past we have had some disagreements with a person. So try to forgive and forget. Don't carry it with you in your lifetime. There may be disagreements, as I said, there may be difference of opinions, but try to forgive, try to forget, come out of your comfort zone, and try to be more open in your communication with people. That will not only make you feel healthy and happy, but also make you physically fit, because a lot of physical problems and diseases are due to the fact that we carry forward so many grudges, jealousies, and kind of, past disagreements or bad experiences in our mind, that it starts impacting our physical fitness and health. Maybe people have heart problems, they have BP, then they have depression, anxiety problems. It's because of our, somewhere at the back of mind, we have a number of things which we need to control and come out of that comfort zone, forgive and forget, and move ahead in life. Then inspire, encourage, and motivate people. Now, try to appreciate at times even when there is an opportunity to give a compliment, sometimes we just keep quiet. Okay, so giving small compliments, giving appreciation, acknowledging people for their work goes a long way in building good relations. Because it's not about flattering other people, it's about giving genuine compliments to people. It's about genuinely acknowledging and appreciating and motivating them, encouraging them to speak, encouraging them to share their ideas and opinions. So if we really want to develop social intelligence, this is one thing which we need to take care of. So at the workplace, if we really want that the workplace should be healthy, and we need to observe social intelligence at the workplace, then be helpful. Whenever somebody needs a help, go ahead, take the initiative to help that someone, and be gracious in your dealings, be kind, smile, and think how you affect others. It should have the ability to influence other people also. So what I want to say in the end is that it takes something more than intelligence to act intelligently. If we really want that we should be considered as intelligent, then we have to be really intelligent. And it takes more than IQ to act intelligently. That we have to be socially intelligent also, if we really want to build up good relationships at workplace, if we want that the performance of the employees has to be good, if we want to be successful at the workplace, then we have to be really intelligent. And as I said, intelligence is more than IQ. It is higher than IQ. It is EQ also, and it is social intelligence also. So with that, I end my presentation, and and in case like whatever is planned, if there are any queries, we can resolve it. Otherwise, as per the schedule, we can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am, I have a query. I'm Dr. Tanu Sharma from JP. Can I put a query?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'm Dr. Tanu Sharma from JP University. Ma'am, you talked about in length about social intelligence. You did mention a little.
I cannot hear you properly, ma'am. I cannot hear you properly.
Okay, now am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, my query is, ma'am, that you spoke in length about social intelligence, and you did also mention a little about emotional intelligence. But whatever you spoke about into social intelligence, it is all covered under the umbrella of emotional intelligence. Then why go to social intelligence rather than
the last part I still cannot get you, ma'am. Can you be a little louder?
Ma'am, my question is that why do we need to go to social intelligence and study about social intelligence and train our employees and
Tanu ma'am, it's not audible. If you are using the headphone, to kindly आप थोड़ा से उसको adjust करके.
No, I'm not using the headphone.
मैम आप एक काम करिए, अपना जो माइक जहाँ से आप बोल रहे हैं उसको थोड़ा सा ऊपर कर लीजिए, सो दैट आपकी वॉइस थोड़ी सी इजीली क्लियर हो जाए.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes ma'am.
Yes ma'am.
Okay, my question is simple, that everything which comes under what you spoke about social intelligence, everything comes under the umbrella.
I cannot hear actually.
तनु मैम, आई विल जस्ट रिक्वेस्ट यू वन थिंग. मैम आप चैट बॉक्स में अपना क्वेश्चन डाल दीजिए, मैं मैम को एड्रेस कर.
I put the question in the chat box.
यस यस. If any of the participants have any question, they may please raise. Chat box is open for question answer session. If any of the participants have any question, they may please write their question in the chat box. We'll address that.
Please write your questions in the chat box so that I can really understand.
Yes, ma'am. And there is a question from Kalpana ma'am. Are you able to access the chat box?
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. What I can understand with the kind of audio which is there, and something which I can find written here, that means we are talking about social intelligence and how it is different from emotional intelligence, right? Is that the query?
Tanu ma'am?
Yeah, exactly, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are talking of social intelligence, how it is different from emotional intelligence. So now, social intelligence goes beyond emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence focuses more upon dealing with emotions of people, and social intelligence it contains emotional intelligence, plus it contains how we should have the ability to build up good relationships. Emotions can be one part, but going beyond that, how to build up good relationships at the workplace and how to create healthy relationships, how to interact with people, that is covered under social intelligence. So social intelligence, yes, it considers, it is about self-management also. Emotional intelligence is also about self-awareness, and emotional intelligence is also about social awareness, and it is also about relationship management. But when we talk of social intelligence, we are focusing more upon the people. We are focusing more upon the social relationship part, and we are going ahead of simply what? Emotional part. We are talking about a number of practical aspects also, where we consider that the critical thinking part also plays a role. The logical thinking part also plays a role. We talked about the low road, and we talked about the high road, how to build up good relations, how to have the influencing ability. So it goes a little ahead in dealing with people and how to build up healthy relations at workplace. So emotional, I hope that I've made it clear that how we can use emotional intelligence to develop social intelligence, and it can be a part of social intelligence. Yes.
Ma'am, there is a question from Dr. Shruti.
Yes.
How to lead with social intelligence in the time of COVID-19 in workplace?
How to, pardon?
How to lead with social intelligence in the time of COVID-19 in workplace?
Yes. In COVID-19, where it is more about, social distancing, we cannot interact much with people physically. Then in that case, as I earlier also said, that social distancing should not lead to emotional distancing. So even when we are interacting with people, we have our gadgets, we have virtual teams also working. So I said, in today's world, work is done not only through self-managed, physically present teams, work is done through virtual teams also. So we are more in the virtual world. And there also, you know, when we are talking to somebody on the telephone, the voice intonation, the pitch of the voice, that has an impact upon what we are trying to say. So it is during the COVID-19, as I said, it does not mean that we should not build up relationships. It's not that we have to be physically, nobody's going to welcome us to their house if we go to somebody's place in COVID-19, but that does not mean that we cannot build up relationships. Even, I mean, without physically visiting somebody, we can still maintain our relationships. And I think we all are very practical, that we know that we have a lot of social media, we have our gadgets, we have virtual teams working, companies are enforcing work from home, they're organizing happiness management workshops, online programs are being organized. So still you can be socially intelligent and deal with your relationships without physically meeting.
There is a question from Vinita Davar, that is, what is the role of top management in managing social intelligence?
The top management has to create that kind of work culture. First of all, that kind of understanding, that kind of, mindset, that kind of vision is required in the top management, where they understand that building up that kind of workplace corporate culture is a must. As I gave you the example of Zappos also, the companies are focusing upon, imbibing this kind of social intelligence values in their core values. So the top management definitely has a very important role to play, because it flows from the top. I mean, the kind of formal or informal system you build into your organization, it all depends upon the vision of the top management. If they want to create a team culture in the organization, then they have to really focus upon building relationships. As I said, you cannot actually work in a team unless and until you are socially intelligent, because people will different perceptions, different ideas, different backgrounds, different even habits, different education, different qualifications, different kind of skills. When they interact, then what is going to happen? I mean, if you do not have social intelligence, you cannot attain the team goals. So the value system has to flow from the top management, and the top management can create more awareness about it, create such kind of formal and informal systems in the organization where the employees can interact with each other. As I said, many organizations, even in this COVID-19, they are organizing happiness management workshops. Flipkart organized live pasta and tea sessions for their employees. So somewhere or the other, it is still important, and you can still work upon it. And yes, top management can take a lot of steps in order to create that kind of culture in the organization.
Ma'am, there is a question from Pranita. Ma'am, how social intelligence is important in era of virtual working pattern? Repeat.
So,
how social intelligence is important in era of virtual working pattern?
Yes, it is very important. Even when we are talking about virtual world, somebody asked about COVID-19, that how we can maintain. So some of the things are the same, which I said, that in a virtual world, how you have to interact with people, because even when you are in a virtual world, the kind of, responses you give to people, the kind of, the way you put up things, even when you are in a virtual world, you're still interacting, you're interacting virtually, although you're interacting virtually, but the thing is that you're still interacting. And when you are interacting, you need to be aware that how you are, the kind of, statements you use in your interactions, the kind of responses you give. Now, for example, we are having this online session. Still, the facial expressions, the gestures, they mean a lot. The kind of words which are used, they mean a lot. So whether you are on social media or you're in a virtual world, you are still interacting. Even when you are talking on the telephone, you're on the WhatsApp, what is the right time to interact? What is the right way to interact? I mean, if you want to interact with your boss and you send a WhatsApp message, it may not be taken in a proper manner. It's rather you send a formal mail. So this is all social intelligence. How are you going to communicate? So that is again a part of social intelligence. So social intelligence has a lot more to say, and it should not be restricted. Yes, of course, when we interact physically, we deal with each other at a workplace, definitely it has an impact, but in a virtual world also there are a number of things which have an impact and help to build up our relationships and create impressions in the way we communicate and we interact with each other.
Ma'am, there is a question from Yashri Dubey, ma'am. Ma'am, you can ask directly. I have 1 minute.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. Yashri Dubey from Vishisht School of Management.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for such an engaging discussion. Ma'am, in your address, you mentioned 2 elements of social trigger. One was related with the heart and another one with the brain. So, ma'am, yeah, what I feel is it is just a metaphor, and yeah, people started taking it literally. As far as heart is concerned, it is just meant to pump in the blood. It do not say anything. So, ma'am, what is your opinion about it? Should we still think of taking decisions from our heart or head?
Okay, so can you please repeat exactly, because somewhere the voice cracked in between. I cannot totally understand that what you are saying.
Yeah, ma'am. In your address, you mentioned 2 elements of social trigger. One was related with the heart and another one with the brain. So, ma'am, yeah, what I feel is it is just a metaphor and people start taking it literally. So, as far as heart is concerned, it is just meant to pump in the blood in our system, in our body. So what is your opinion about it? Should we still think of taking decisions from our heart, or should we take decisions from our head? Can you please resolve the problem?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, see, you have to somewhere or the other strike a balance. You totally cannot ignore your heart. And that is why we talk about passion. Now, for example, if you want to pursue a particular career, right? This is just an example which I'm taking. You want to pursue a particular career. Now your brain tells you that this is the most paying kind of career and you are going to earn a lot, but you do not have passion for that particular career. So, and you still enter into that career because you know that you are going to earn a lot out of that career. So, for the short run, you may be successful, but in the long run, it may have a big toll upon your life, upon your mental health, and upon your, relationships also. So somewhere or the other, people who have a number of engineering degrees, finally they end up in different kind of roles, but they don't want to become an engineer because they do not, in spite of the fact that they have the knowledge and the skills and they know that they can earn a lot through this profession, still they go into different kind of professions because they don't find that heart supporting them. They don't find that passion supporting them. So somewhere or the other, you have to be very practical also. And let me tell you that emotional intelligence is one of the top 5 skills according to LinkedIn, which the employers are looking for in their employees. And if you go to LinkedIn Learning, you will find that it is one of the top 5 skills besides creativity, adaptability, collaboration, persuasiveness, and emotional intelligence. That means across the globe, this I'm talking about on the basis of LinkedIn report. So these are the top 5 skills, top 5 soft skills which the companies across the globe are looking for. That means they are looking for employees with high emotional intelligence, and this has been acknowledged. Previously only IQ used to be acknowledged, but now it has been acknowledged globally that EQ is a very important skill which the employers in the today's world are really looking for. So I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yes.
Ji, ma'am.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you, if one identifies a dark triad, then in that case, what should be the overall approach in general?
Okay, that means you want to ask that if you identify a narcissistic or a Machiavellian personality or a psychopath, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because that's where everybody would actually face maximum and major problems.
Yeah, that's true. It's very difficult to deal with these people. And but then here you should exercise your social intelligence because, see, some people give you negative vibrations, right? So unless and until it is really necessary, we should talk in a very controlled manner while dealing with these people. First, we have to identify if our identification is correct. In that case, we should, if somebody gives us a negative vibrations, or then we should try to maintain a distance from such people. It does not mean that we should not talk to them. We should be we should be on talking terms to everybody. We should maintain professional relations, but in that case, we need to take care that how much we should interact with them, and somewhere or the other, we should be a little reserved and maintain a little distance. Because if we find, see, maybe if it is in our personal circle, we can avoid such people, but what about professional circle? If you find such people in your professional circle, then you have no options, but you should still deal with them. So you have to identify, first of all, that what kind of personality you are dealing with, and accordingly, don't get, frustrated by dealing with such people. Maintain and manage your emotions, because you have identified already, because of your social intelligence, that the person with whom you are dealing is of the narcissistic kind, or has a Machiavellian type of personality, or a psychopath. So if we respond to them in the same manner, then we have become equivalent to them. So we should try to, how we are going to manage our responses and emotions in dealing with that people, that we have to really control and manage and maintain little distance. Try not to mingle too much with those people at the same time. We have to do the work also, because we are in that kind of professional space. So we cannot totally avoid talking them, but then we should be mature enough to handle such kind of people, so that we don't, they give you negative vibrations, and also they make you feel frustrated. So don't do that. Don't get frustrated. Don't, succumb to negative vibrations. Talk to yourself. Tell yourself that this person is maybe having this kind of personality. So in that case, why should I not let myself affected by the personality of that person? You cannot spoil your own personality because the other person is having such kind of personality. So, I mean, these are certain ways, certain tips where you can manage your own emotions, try to control your emotions, because you cannot change the other person, but you can change yourself. You can indulge into self-talk and tell yourself that this person is like this, let me not feel frustrated, and still I'll have to talk to that person, because after all, I'm in a professional place, I have to get things done. So there are certain things where you can do.
Thank you, ma'am. The last question from Dr. Jiten Kothari.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Kothari sir, Jiten sir, you must directly question.
सर मैं जितेंद्र सर आप अनम्यूट हैं सर, मैं अनम्यूट, प्लीज अनम्यूट कर लीजिए अपने आप को.
Hello.
जी सर.
Yeah, it will be the last question.
My question is how we can measure social intelligence of someone.
There are proper tests designed for this purpose, and through those tests, there are self-assessments also, and there are tests also. For example, George Washington University has the social intelligence tests, and whereby we can measure the social intelligence level of people, and especially the consultants and the people who are experts. I mean, it cannot be handled by each and everybody. They have to be handled by experts. Either they have to be consultants in this, behavioral scientists and therapists who are experts in this field, or there can be some sort of self-assessments whereby we can check our social intelligence. But when we are giving feedback to people, it has to be handled in a very sensitive manner, and it has to be done by experts and consultants who have their designed SQ tests.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to Professor Anju.
Thank you, sir. Very enlightening session, ma'am. It's very revealing. Like, you have discussed so many things about social intelligence, and I like the thing. Always carry or smile. Things will be easy for you to handle. Now I invite Dr. Naveen Narang, Managing Director, Vishisht School of Management, for vote of thanks and to share his words. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, it is very nice to meet you virtually also. I do remember meeting you at the conference, so it is very nice meeting you virtually also. So first of all, thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and your depth of knowledge for social intelligence I mean, fine, I could really see the kind of questions coming up that really shows that how deep the session was. And I think social intelligence, ma'am, aaj ke zamane mein, especially in this era of social distancing, as you rightly said, social intelligence plays a further more important role, because now हम लोग physically connected नहीं, हम लोग virtually connected. So even as you said, your voice tone, the mode of communication that you choose, everything is going to be playing a very important role. But I believe social intelligence is all about being a good person at the end of the day. So if you are a good person, then you will find good people around you, and maybe you can, sort of. I believe thoda bahut spirituality se bhi related hai. Kisi ko hurt mat karo, and the buzzword is to empathize with people. So I don't know. Probably if this can be a topic of research, that probably spiritual people might have a higher social intelligence as compared to the people who are not spiritual or atheist in nature. So I think you are the expert on this. Probably, if this can open a new. It was a very, and मैं अपने personal experiences भी बताऊंगा, ma'am. We had faced a couple of years a lot of problems because we had an employee who was probably one of the dark terrorist kind of a person. So we now everything can relate to that. There was a lot of federation during that time. So now we can sort of relate things there, and all your presentation could make sense out of. I could make sense out of it. So at the end of it, just to sum things up, I would request everybody, to have. I mean, social intelligence is all about being a good person. So if you are a good person, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing out of the box about it, or there's nothing that is unreasonable to expect out of you, because at the end of the day, we are all humans. As ma'am rightly said, that Abhi Sushant Singh Rajput wala incident hai, that is still under a lot of scanner. So if you can talk to somebody, if you can help somebody out with from that, from that thought process wherein he is thinking negative, and if you can bail somebody out of it, that is something that can really help a lot of people, and avoid such kind of incidences. So I think we should all be good, and try and create a happy environment in the organization that we are working with. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your time. It was really nice to listen to you, and I hope everybody takes a positive listening out of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to thank our director, sir, managing director, sir, and our guests. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you, all the participants.
Thank you so much. And it was nice interacting with everyone. And it is my privilege that I could interact through Vishisht School of Management. And it would help to build up good relationships in future. And thank you so much.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.